Welcome in, everybody. It's that time again, the Cannabiz Conversations Podcast coming at you with yet again another exciting handpicked guest. Because, folks, if you don't know this is how it works on this show. I appreciate all the emails. Keep them coming. You want to be on the show. But most of the guests are handpicked. We have a team of people led by myself who has a lot of interest in the space. So there's people we want to talk to. And today's guest has been on the list for a while, man, and you'll see why. It's not going to take you long to understand why that's the case. But as always, we need to kick off every episode with thanking our friends at Fat Nugs Magazine. If you are not familiar with what Dustin and his team are doing, get out there and take a look around. He's supporting the mom and pops. He's trying to help the veterans, the legacy. The Prisoners Edition just came out. These are things that matter to us as a culture and as people here. And right now, I think there's still time to head over to the International Cannabis Awards and vote for Fat Nugs Magazine as the #1 publication. So go out, make that happen. All right, let's get into the fun part. Today's guest, Jose Lema. Jose, how are you, man?
I'm pretty good. Very happy to be here talking to you. I'm very excited.
We're happy to have you. Professor of Cannabis, is that a fair title? What's the official title, Jose, that you go with, man?
Yeah, my official title is Assistant Professor of Cannabis Biology and Cultivation Systems.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So tell me, man.
What a time to be alive, right?
Exactly. What a time to be alive is right, dude. So I'm going to be 44 this year. And I'm not a college. I didn't go to college. I've just been doing what I've been doing my whole life. And so I didn't go to school. But I'll tell you what, I challenged my wife to this earlier before our show. I said, look, if this were an option, when I had the choice, if Jose came to the high school, right, like they do from colleges to get the high school kids to come there, if he came there and he gave me a 5-minute conversation about this, I am headed to Southern Illinois University to be a part of this culture. So, man, tell me a little bit about. We like to start the show with an origin story, Jose. So, where did you find the plant? Where did it all begin for you, man?
Okay. Well, I mean, first I just want to start, thanking you about, the work you're doing, and I really appreciate it. You're a very positive person, and I guess we're seeing, a lot of negative in the world, and then seeing you very, with this upbringing and being positive. I really appreciate the work you're doing. So,
no problem.
But yeah, and talk about you mentioned like being a pioneer in this cannabis in academia. I'm seeing a lot of non-traditional students like emailing me, contacting me, and it's like, hey, I wish I had that in my time back in in school, but and now they're actually coming back. So as what you mentioned, it is exactly what is happening. So it's it's a motivation for new students to join this, I guess new direction, new avenue, like cannabis science avenue, but also for non-traditional students to get back to school. So, but answer your questions like, well, I mean, I'm always a plant guy. I'm originally from Brazil. My family has a farm in southern Brazil. I grew up in a farm, and so agriculture and plant science, it was in my life since my early days. And so yeah, we started farming in southern Brazil. Then my dad sold part of the farm to buy new land in the central Brazil back in the 80s and the 70s, where it used to be the new frontier, agriculture frontier. Now it's not anymore. It's a very well developed agriculture area. Now we have different new frontiers in Brazil, but not central Brazil is a well-established agriculture area. A lot of soybean, corn, sugarcane. So yeah, I grew up in a small family farm. So it was like a natural path for me to start my bachelor degree in agronomic engineering. So I start, I enjoyed, as a most of undergrad student, as soon as I finished my undergrad, I was just ready to join the job market. I was tired of my poor student life. I want to get money. I want to join the job market. So as soon as I finished my bachelor degree, I started working for Cargill. I worked there as a trader supervisor for almost 3 years. I enjoy it, but I realized that industry wasn't for me. I always had that in the back of my mind, like to go back to academia. So, but I was just not very sure, and I was worried about resigning from Cargill and then join get back to academia to grad school, and then regret. So I decided to take my accumulative vacation from Cargill, and then I started like a internship at Oklahoma State University. So just pretty much it was like an internship, unpaid internship, voluntary internship for 2 months, just to pretty much learn what would be to become a grad student in an American institution. So, and I love it. I love it. I made great friends at Oklahoma State University. So I decided to go back to Brazil, and then I was like, okay, now that's my goal. I want to go to America and start grad school. So then I got an offer from Auburn University. I started my master's degree at Auburn. I work with precision agriculture. So back then we were testing like a new soil moisture sensor that was like linked with the cell phone towers and providing like a constant data, soil moisture data to the farmers. Back then was new, a lot of ups and downs in my study to learn more about to kind of refine that technology. So then I finished my master and I started my PhD in 2016. I finished my master in August 15. I start my PhD August 16, 2026 at Virginia Tech. So at Virginia Tech, I started my PhD in plant science. I was working with plant biostimulants, which is still kind of hot topic right now. Um, um, so I started working with row crops, corn and soybeans, and then um, during along the studies, along my PhD, I was conducting a study in a greenhouse and testing these different biostimulants, from different sources, and the professor that was initiating the hemp pilot. But then it was like 2018. So then the professor that was initiating the hemp project, pilot project, uh, saw my study and was like, "Oh, I think that's a cool study to test on cannabis." And then everything started to connecting. It's like, well, yeah, it makes sense. Right now, there's no, agrochemicals approved for cannabis. Right now, there's not many tools that you can use to improve productivity and quality. And I was like, well, I guess it's a good idea. So then my PhD just changed gears to kind of focus on cannabis. And I'm glad that my major professor, Dr. Wade Thomason, was pretty open about it. And then we just start focusing, the use of plant biostimulants on cannabis. And then I graduated. I finished my PhD. I started my postdoc at Virginia Tech. Was COVID, was that craziness, no jobs to apply, and then I continue my postdoc at Virginia Tech. So I graduated in May 2020. Then I continue my postdoc at Virginia Tech, and then I started applying for jobs, but I want to continue working with cannabis. That's what I really enjoy it, and that's what I want to do. And then this job at SIU popped up in November 2020, and it was like I had that feeling. I was like, "This is my job," and I mean, it was such a cool job. All the description, I was like, "This is my job." So I applied, and then I got the position, and then I start here at SIU in 2021, August 2021, and I'm here from then, and then of course I had some also hoops to jump through, some drama, personal drama, some immigration issues. We can talk about that if you have time. Uh, but yeah, then I'm here since then, since August 2021, establishing my lab. My lab is expanding pretty quickly, and I'm very happy to be here. Right now, I have 7 grad students, 2 PhDs, 5 masters, and we are ready to continue expanding and learn more and continue conducting research and being more open mind about this very cool plant.
All right, you take a second. I'm going to jump into a couple
Yeah.
things here and unpack what you've been talking about here because it's pretty amazing. So I want to go back to the Brazil function. It's not often I get to talk with folks, that have lived and been in other cultures outside of the United States. Can you talk to me about the cannabis culture in Brazil? Is it just as kind of negative as it is here? Is it what is the relationship with the plant there versus our relationship or our old relationship with the plant?
I mean, it's very, very similar. Very, very similar. That same stereotype about, cannabis and being lazy or
Gateway
drugs.
drugs
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that
Gateway
stuff.
drug, the
Yeah.
negativity.
Yeah.
Very, very similar. People going to jail.
Yeah.
Very, very, very similar. Very
Okay.
similar. Very
So
similar.
people in jail for weed as well in Brazil as in here. Got it.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But the weed there is coming from like Paraguay, Colombia, not really Mexico, or I guess where it's coming from is different.
And
But
Jose, Paraguay
yeah.
was one of the first, if I remember correctly, to go full legalization as a country. Do you know that? Is that, to be correct? Is that part of the game over there?
Yes, it's not like here the state by state kind of
Yeah.
laws.
Yeah.
So it has to be a federal regulation. Uh, but right now, actually, we do have the things are becoming more flexible. The Supreme Court approved the home grow. It's still kind of very confusing, but I guess it's getting there.
Okay.
But also, we do have a lot in Brazil. They do have a lot of non-profit organizations. So they basically work with it's a law term. I don't. It's like habeas corpus. You
Yeah.
know that term?
Yep.
So they work under that term. So pretty much the police enforcement, they know they're doing something illegal, but they cannot enter the farm.
Yeah.
So, but then these non-profit organizations, they are able to grow and sell the products as a medication.
I mean, look, home grow should be the number one thing we do here.
Yes.
It's the easiest thing to do. If you cared really about it, you would end anything to do with putting people in prison for it. That's number one. And then number two is allowing people to home grow, and then just let it sit there for a second and see what happens. You're not going to have people growing 100 plants selling to their friends. More people are going to want to grow. My wife and I, we were growers in Colorado on the medical scene, and it was so rewarding. This is 2007, 2008. It was awesome to see us be able to help people who couldn't help themselves, didn't have a way to grow, but knew they had something of use for it. It was really cool that way. And so I haven't been able to do it because I live in a prohibition state just north of you in Wisconsin. And so it's not a thing here. It's not even a part of the culture. It's actually really, really negative still. And it's really annoying. But it's interesting to hear that Brazil takes that step. I wish our government would take 30 seconds to just say, this is easy and something we could easily do to help everyone move forward here. So
can I ask you why you still living in Wisconsin? You're always talking about,
all right. I am. I love it. I love that you say that, man. So I live in Wisconsin because I founded a company here 12 years ago. And my wife and I established our lives here. And it just is so, it's worked out in a way that, it's tough to think about going to move somewhere else just to sort of be able to have that. Because obviously I have a way of having my habit be filled, right? So it's not like that. It's just, I wish I could grow. I wish I could do it. But, I get to grow my tomatoes and my herbs, and my wife and I have got a sunroom full of 100 different ornamental plants. So I find my way to have my enjoyment. But Jose, you're right, man. I used to get so much joy out of walking into our rooms after I was done with a 12-hour day of work. It was like this retreat and this peacefulness that I could just sit with these plants and put them under the microscope, check out some trichomes, check some dirt, just be there, be a part of the earth. So I really enjoy that. So, Jose, we've had plant scientists on the show before. And I love that I love the science part of it. When you're talking to the grad student, the PhD, the master's student, are they coming to you because they're interested in cannabis as something that they've already kind of been about? Or is it because they see it as the new frontier? Like, what is the motivation of students that are joining you?
That's a very good question. So, and then with that, I can, also talk a little bit about my program, the cannabis biology cultivation systems here at SIU. So basically, I have a joint position 50%, 51% in horticulture, 49% in plant biology. And also my position is split in 51% research, 49% teaching. So I'm teaching um, um, 12 credits per year, 4 classes, 2 classes per semester. Talking about the research side, the grad students, the PhDs, and then the masters. So, I mean, that's an awesome question because actually what you said, both it's valid. There are students that are coming without any knowledge in cannabis specifically, but very high achieving students coming from big universities, coming from Cornell, from Colorado State. So students that are with high achieving students interested in cannabis as a then I know that this can be new. I know that I'm equipped, I'm smart enough to take it and then do a lot of good things with this plant.
Yeah.
And also the students that I really enjoy this plant. I have experience, I have my medical card, I have my home grow, and I want to just continue refining my knowledge. I want to continue learning more. So, these two different, profiles, they exist and they're contacting me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are great routes. And I'd love to hear students of high performing status going, you know what? What's going on over there? And I hope, and I hope that it has to do with the future of evolving this plant. It's been difficult for people to even do what you're doing, let alone large scale research, because the federal illegalities of the whole thing, right? And so, you're probably working under a lot of state issued ideas, state issued and state watched ideas. So you have to keep it, very much clean in that way as far as what you're teaching, how you're teaching, and, the age of students. College kids start at 18. That's not technically legal. It was funny. I was having a discussion with my 19-year-old nephew. He's like, I think I want to get out of fast food. I'm like, go to a dispensary. And I was like, wait, he can't go work at a dispensary. He's 19 years old. Like, that doesn't pencil yet. He has to be 21. So the acceptance is happening at a much greater rate. I wonder, from your perspective, do you see is the number growing, Jose? Are the kids that are wanting to get involved, are you watching that sort of rapidly grow as this becomes, by the week, by the month, more acceptable?
Oh yes, 100%. And talking about age, this age thing is like, I do have a very cool partnership with the New Era, which is a local growing facility here in Carbondale. And yeah, I cannot bring the underage students. Like we schedule meetings, and it's awesome. Like it's an awesome tour. They learn about the indoor cultivation, extraction, the post harvest process. They learn about everything in that tour. But I cannot bring my underage students.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer. And it's a bummer, but they're upset. But it's like, hey, I can't.
Yeah, no, it's legality, right? It's like if you were to take kids to a brewery, you can't just, you know what I mean? You can't, it's not the same way. So no, I totally get it. I respect that. What I like about it is it gives kids an outlet. It gives kids, I wonder how, and I realize that your program, there's two parts to your program, right? As you're saying, there's the big side of it. And then are you teaching like undergrad students, or is everything you do that sort of higher level? Again, I'm not the best with academia, but.
Yeah, most of my courses, they are cross-listed. Cross-listed meaning undergrad, grad level. So there are 400 level and 500 level. So they're offered for undergrads and grad students. So for grad students, you just need to ask for a special assignment to be evaluated in a different format. But pretty much all my courses are undergrad and grad, 400 level and 500 level.
Got it. Yeah, the undergrad, obviously, I think that number continues to grow. I think it's a reason for kids to go to college. I talk to younger kids a lot, and they're like, well, if I don't go to college, where do I go? But I want to be involved in cannabis. Well, now it's like, hey, go to college if you want to be involved in cannabis. Yep. There's a route there. There's a way. And I made the joke in the open, but it's not a joke. I seriously think my life would have been differently poised had I had the opportunity to go to college for a plant that I became obsessed with. I mean, it saved my life. I was 19 years old, suffering from migraines, and I had used it recreationally. But after a day of being told to take all this crazy medication, it made me sick. I stopped doing it. I went to cannabis, and it changed my life, and it's always been that way. And so I've always argued with people over the gateway portion of that. I think that's old school kind of fear tactic stuff that I don't care for. What I like about what you're doing is your science is helping me back up how I felt. It's helping me realize that it wasn't just how I felt. There's actual science and reason behind it. In your work that you've done, how rewarding is it to see the science of cannabis starting to really pay off in our culture?
No, because I mean, in the end of the day, it's an industry. Like jobs are being created. The industry need qualified people to work for them. So, and again, it's a reality. It's not just a fathom that you're just cannabis enthusiasts that are involved. No, it's a reality. It's a money involved. The industry, jobs being created, and I'm seeing that. That's another important thing about my position. Like in horticulture, the horticulture side, I'm expect to work with controlled environment agriculture, and the plant biology side, cannabis biology and physiology. So it's a good match, because most of the cannabinoids are produced in indoor. So controlled environment agriculture and cannabis biology, and I seen the enrollment in horticulture really increasing. Like we create I mean, it's good to talk about that too. So last fall it was officialized 3 different programs in horticulture. We created a cannabis production system certificate, a cannabis production system minor. The certificate, we're focusing on non-SIU students. The minor, you're focusing on SIU students from other departments like chemistry, pre-med students, some other students, SIU students. And then it's one of the first in the nation, I think. We also create a bachelor degree. It's a bachelor degree in horticulture with specialization in cannabis science. So I think it's one of the first 4 years degree in cannabis science. And I'm seeing, a lot the enrollment in horticulture really increasing.
I mean, it's almost like you're trying to recruit me to do Carbondale here. Like I didn't think I'd ever go back to school, but here we are. You keep talking, I keep listening. I keep thinking to myself, boy, is this something I have time to do? No, man, I think it's tremendous. And while we're sort of still here in the first half, I got to tell you, one of the posts that I saw from you that I really enjoyed. And correct me if I was wrong about it, but the post was something to the effect of a student was talking to you about like, why aren't we growing great weed? And you're like, I'm more interested in what bad weed looks like or how we grow bad cannabis. Talk to me about that principle and just thought process. If you remember the post, kind of talk to me through that, because it really sat with me where I was like, yeah, we should know what's wrong. Now it's clear what goes right. What do we know about what goes wrong?
I mean, very good question. It's awesome that you're asking that. The thing is, that post was pretty much. I mean, I guess in LinkedIn. I mean, I see that you're very active in LinkedIn, but I would say that the LinkedIn audience, they're more open mind about posts in general, like not very good looking plants, photos, But I would say that post was more for the Instagram, because I guess Instagram, you want to see beautiful people, in shape, and beautiful flowers when you talk about plants. And then when you're comparing to these, cannabis facilities, cannabis, the industry, they're posting just high quality, beautiful buds and like frosty, high trichome density. And that's not what we are posting, because I'm posting my students' work, and usually what you're doing in your lab, that's also a cool thing to talk about. In our lab, you're talking about you're studying controlled environment agriculture, plant stress, the effect of biostimulants, pretty much how to leverage environmental controls like light intensity, temperature, humidity, CO2, how the plants behave under different environments. So most of the time you're stressing the plants. Yeah. So with that, the plants are suffering. It means that won't be posting very good looking plants. Yeah. And my student was like, hey, how about we start posting like a better looking plants? And I agree with him, but I also have my point, Yeah,
no, it's so funny because I didn't actually realize it was a comment like on the bigger concept of beauty, and how people their social media sort of is so curated and so perfect and like has to look a certain way. And so I thought it was really just about research and sort of practicality, right? That's really what I thought. But to go back to it, LinkedIn, I've said it before, right now, safest place for cannabis, any social media platform running right now in the United States at scale. There's a few startups that are out there that are really trying hard. I think it's really hard to start a social media app. I think it takes a lot of money. So LinkedIn's done a good job of accepting us, and we thank them for that. So thank you for that, LinkedIn.
And you're seeing, like, just people comment, this plant looks terrible. It's like, hey, it's a research. We are conducting research. I'm not a growing facility,
Right. And it's not only that, like people, I think it's weird for people to see cannabis research because anything they've ever heard or known, right, is about the big, beautiful grow or the underground grow that gets busted in Tennessee with all the, 10-foot plant, all this other stuff. Like I got a couple of guys I follow out west. They have these outdoor gardens. It's unbelievable, dude. They're walking through these 12, 15-foot bushes and you're just like, holy shit, this is amazing. But I also realized that somewhere one of those plants looks like shit. Something that, there isn't just that, right? It's not. I'm a big sports nut. I'm a baseball kid. I've said it a million times, but like baseball, you're considered the best at your game if you fail 70% of the time swinging the bat. 70% failure rate. You're a Hall of Fame baseball player. So it's hard for me to see people always post the beautiful shot of the beautiful picture, thinking to myself, mistakes are okay. They're okay to show. And that's what I got from your post, dude, was that, you know what? This is how research looks. Research ain't sexy. Research is down and dirty. And this is the view of that. And I love how young kids are like, but why would you put that on the internet? Because I hear that all the time from my nephews who are like, well, Uncle Sean, that's not cool. Like, don't talk about that. I'm like, it's life, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly. And I'm not a growing facility. I don't care. I'm not selling. I'm not, so I don't care. And the other thing is that is important to talk about is like the legacy growers, they're so passionate about cannabis.
Yeah.
And then when they see that, they feel hurt. It's like, oh, what these guys are doing. Because the thing is, I'm in horticulture. I don't, if I'm posting bad looking tomato plants, the tomato producer will never comment, oh, this tomato looks terrible. Because, I guess it's a different, we don't really have the legacy tomato growers. You know what I mean?
I know. It's just, you're right, man. It is so like, it is such a comment on culture. Like, yes, cannabis culture, but just culture in general, where it's like, no, only the beauty goes on, only the great, things. And it's just not like that. I don't use social media for that. I put it all out there. I'm not really interested in trying to curate things like that. But again, you're doing research. So I want to make it clear to people, we're talking about research here. All right. Jose, we're getting ready to wrap up the first half. So it is now time for you to tell us a little bit of a teaser, what you want to talk about in the second half.
Yeah, well, I guess I was not really prepared for this question. But I guess we can, just thinking, I guess we can talk about the challenges I'm facing, working with cannabis in academic environment, all the hoops I have to jump through, and also talk a little bit more specifically about the research we're conducting.
You want to talk about challenges of bureaucracy and research, but I am all about that. Let's go ahead and get that done in the second half, folks. You're going to want to tune in and listen. If you haven't enjoyed the first half, you're not really paying attention. This was unbelievable. We're going to get ready to wrap up the second half right after this. Thank you to Fat Nugs Magazine. We always appreciate it. The cannabis publication is global at this point, folks. Follow it. Watch what's going on. If you're a retail brand partner, you need to reach out because there is a lot you can get here, and I mean a lot of exposure. They just redid their website with Puff Creative, man. Woo! Website on fire. It's all there. And I think there's still time to get a vote in for the best publication. Head over to internationalcannabisawards.com to make your vote heard for Fat Nugs Magazine. Jose, thanks a lot for the first half. I look forward to the second half, bud. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us. And remember, remove the stigma, uplift the plant to its rightful place in society. We'll see you next week.